I don't know if you guys heard about this, but there's a little movie out there called Deadpool and Wolverine, and it's doing pretty well at the box office. In fact, it's breaking a couple of records, and you would think, in light of this rousing success of this film, Marvel would be looking to capitalize on it. Well, if you think that, you obviously don't know anything about Marvel, but let's take a look at all these box office records that ended up getting shattered in the first week of release, before we figure out how much of a ball drop this has been for the once laudable House of Ideas. The highest R-rated opening of all time, both worldwide and domestically, $444.1 million and $211 million domestically, eclipsing the previous record holder of Deadpool 1, which is a vastly better film by all accounts. Biggest global opening since Avatar: The Way of Water. That's a record? Okay, weird. Biggest domestic opening ever for Ryan Reynolds, beating Deadpool. Okay. Biggest domestic opening ever for Hugh Jackman, beating X-Men The Last Stand, $102.7 million. I don't mind that movie. It was actually the first X-Men movie that I watched on release. I ended up going back and filling in the gaps with X1 and X2, but everybody gives it crap for, Vinnie Jones's Juggernaut, but it's not that bad. I'm not even going to run the comparison. Well, compared to what we get these days, it's like, it's really not. It's a solid 6 out of 10. Not even the worst cinematic interpretation of the Dark Phoenix saga, which is crazy to think about. Biggest domestic opening ever for Sean Levy, beating 2009's Night at the Museum, the Battle of the Smithsonian. Wait a minute. He also did that? Oh my god. Hopefully he did the first one, because that was pretty good, but the second one, I think I seen it, but oof. Anyways. Highest July opening weekend of all time at the domestic box office, really surpassing Lion King 2009. Well, hopefully it, removes that film from history. Terrible. Marvel Cinematic Universe is the highest grossing film franchise of all time, $30 billion. Yeah, we know that, and that's just far and away the biggest. That's not really a record. I guess you're adding to it. The 34th consecutive MCU release to debut at number 1 at the domestic box office. Yeah, barely got to that 34th consecutive marker. Shout out the Marvels. Highest domestic opening weekend of 2024, and highest since Spider-Man No Way Home. The 6th highest domestic opening weekend of all time. 6th highest opening day at the domestic box office at 96 million. But then again, that also factors in Thursday previews. But whatever, I guess we're living in that world now. 4th highest superhero opening weekend of all time. The 2nd highest opening weekend for a 3rd installment of a film behind Avengers Endgame. Isn't that the 4th Avengers film? Weird. Walt Disney is responsible for 16 of the top 20 domestic opening weekends of all time, with the MCU representing 11 of the top 20. So yeah, to say that Deadpool and Wolverine has been successful, I mean, there's only going to be more records that they're going to add to that as this film continues dominate the box office of 2024. Could it end up being the most profitable film of the year? It's like, it's got competition, lofty competition in the form of Inside Out 2, so it's possible. I don't think it's probable, but then again, I didn't think that this was going to make $1 billion and only got dissuaded of that in the lead up to it, but I guess we'll get to that point. We'll cross that bridge once we get to it. But while everybody else with a working set of eyes can see that this is an absolute success, you would think that, the source material that all this stuff comes from, no, we're not talking about Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman. We're talking about the characters of Wolverine and Deadpool specifically. Marvel would be looking to resuscitate their flagging comic division, but no, they're going to do exactly what they do best by killing off Deadpool and replacing him with a woman. They're doing the meme of sticking a chick in it and making it lame. Deadpool is dead, revealed at San Diego Comic-Con when Marvel and Disney were taking their victory lap. Hey guys, look, Deadpool is dead. Get the first look at Wade's daughter, Ellie, taking up the mantle of the two new covers. Follows a new mission in Deadpool number 7 by writers Cody Ziegler and Alexis whatever, bro. At least the cover art doesn't look terrible. Like, we've seen worse. But are you that stupid? Yeah, every time you have a movie doing well, featuring a character that people might want to read about in the comics, you subvert expectations, and having someone else take over and killing off the character. Really weird marketing strategy. I mean, every single Time. Are you guys averse to making money? Like, are you trying to tank the comics? You have to ask these questions, okay? And then that's just the Deadpool side of things. It actually gets dumber in regards to the X-Men, right? Like, they've always been popular. Outside of Spider-Man, it's Marvel's most coveted and profitable franchise. And instead of just, subverting whatever the current X-Men lineup is right now, are they even called X-Men, or are they X-People, or are they X-Women because they're the ones that really get things done? I don't know what the lineup is. I don't know if Wolverine's in it. I don't know. Did he pass off the mantle of Wolverine? Because this was also a thing a few years ago, okay, where he'd handed off to X-23 because Wolverine is also a mantle. Oh my god, I hate comics sometimes. But instead of doing that, instead of just, messing with characters, plot lines, space, time, and all things holy, they're just going to mess with the books themselves. And one of the dumbest things that I could possibly think of. Marvel Comics executive editor confirms X-Men books will continue hiding the last page behind an annoying QR code in order to avoid early spoilers. What? So you're shipping an incomplete book to fewer people than you have in history, but don't worry guys, comics are thriving and they're fine and easily one of the most beloved by tech bros, reviled by customers decisions made by any company in recent memory. Marvel's Comics executive editor Tom Brevoort, has confirmed that the X-Men line will continue to hide their last page behind a QR code for the foreseeable future. Holy shit, that stuff is stupid. And while I gave credit to, the cover of the it's not even Lady Deadpool, it's just Deadpool's daughter, because there is a Lady Deadpool. You would have seen it if you went to Deadpool and Wolverine. But the interior, is that what they're trying to pass off? Like, look at those, characters in the background, okay? What's wrong with his face back there? What's wrong with her face? What's wrong with her hair, too? Is that a bastardized version of Storm? Oh my god, this is terrible. It's really bad. Yo, what's that bitch doing with the gut sword? Like, what the... Anyways. Oh, yo, and that's supposed to be a variant cover? Oh, lord. But shipping an incomplete book, hiding the final pages because you want to avoid spoilers. Well, here's another spoiler. Nobody cares about your terrible books, bro. Like, there's 2 runs that are out there that are actually being applauded by people and being bought. There's a Spider-Man run that's out there, and there's a Transformers run that's out there. Not, like the way that Marvel and DC like to push Transformers, but no. Like an actual Autobots and Decepticon story. But that's the only thing that's making money on the Western Front. Everything else is being bolstered by by manga, because the animes are doing good. Like, Jesus. I can remember another time when a different publishing house, actually a different medium, tried this idea, and they didn't go forward with it after it was such an abysmal failure. Do you guys remember strategy guides for video games? I bet you do. A little companion book that would go ahead and, decipher confusing mazes, tell you where different treasure was in different chests if you were playing a long winding JRPG or something like that. And one of the most popular franchises to get those elaborate strategy guides was in fact Final Fantasy. And the Final Fantasy VII strategy guide sold gangbusters for Brady guides. I think the same was, accomplished for Final Fantasy VIII, mostly because people just needed, a helping hand to get through the convoluted plot of that nonsense. But then by the time Final Fantasy IX came around, they decided to do this stupid web integration with Play Online where, yeah, we'll go ahead and tell you a couple of things, but then we'll also try to, shove you off to this website where you can get the rest of the guide. Lo and behold, by the time Final Fantasy Final Fantasy X came around, they kind of scrapped that because they knew it was stupid, and everybody turned on that book very famously. But here we are, just about 25 years later, and X-Men and Marvel think that they really have a piece of hot technology on their hand. Oh my god. Seen in the 3 books that thus far released and part of the X-Line series, post Krakoa from the Ashes Publishing Initiative, X-Men Volume 7, Number 1, NYX Volume 2, Number 1, and Phoenix Volume 1, Number 1. Upon reaching the end of the given mutant-centric title, before being met with a standard next issue preview, readers are presented with a giant QR code. How stupid. The people still buying the floppies want to read the floppies. They don't want to go digital with your stupid gimmicks. Upon being scanned on one smartphone, the QR codes are taking readers to the official Marvel Comics website, where will be presented with an extra bonus scene. No, it's supposed to be the end of the book, you idiots. Related to the respective book, admittedly, while annoying in execution due to its reliance on personal electronic devices, this novel attempt to further reader engagement is not a problem in and of itself. Yeah, if it doesn't detract from the story. But if you're keeping the final pages behind a digital implementation, which who knows how long those are going to be around for, okay? How long are you going to keep those servers up, especially, you know, if a run dies or something like that? How long are you going to keep that information available for people? Because here's the thing about physical media. It's around as long as the books, as long as the media doesn't get destroyed. But when it comes to digital publishing, it's only around for as long as people want to host that data. Unbelievable. However, this has been proven to be a problem, that it is rather than a true bonus scenes. These extra pages have thus far featured important exposition and set up for their book's individual stories. Exactly. But who's doing the art for that? Because I think that's X23, and that's actually not bad. Oh, that's a variant cover. Okay, then you got to get subjected to the absolute slop that you see in the interiors. For example, X-Men 1, the bonus page introduces a central cabal of villains who will apparently be serving as a primary antagonist of this new mutant era. Yeah, that's kind of important. Wouldn't you think you'd want to include that? But no, don't worry, boss. It's going to be totally fine. Likewise, in Phoenix 1's bonus page gives readers their first look at the series as of yet unnamed villain. Yeah, I can see a theme here. Okay, a sword-wielding woman. Oh, yeah, of course, with a grudge against Jean Grey's existence. Well, if you're going to be going against Phoenix, you're going to need something a little bit more heavy and a little bit more effective than a sword, but whatever. In NYX number 1, scanning the QR code pulls up a scene wherein a young mutant fauna can be seen making the acquaintance of the titular team's next opponent, the mysterious Mr. Friend. Again, that's pretty important stuff that you're leaving out. Further, it should be noted that thanks to this gimmick's reliance on server stability of Marvel's website in order to present reader with bonus pages. Yeah, and then that's also relying on these servers being functional when you get your book. Yeah, there's a very, very high possibility that these pages will eventually be taken offline or misnamed during a reorganization, thus resulting in the QR codes being rendered absolutely useless. Unfortunate for readers, it appears that, at least for the foreseeable future, the gimmick is here to stay, answering fan questions of his personal Substack blog. Imagine being an editor. Yeah, imagine being an editor at Marvel and you have to run a Substack. Oof. Breer Vort, sure, addressed one particular inquiry wherein the writer voiced their disagreement with the QR code system. I will just say I don't like it personally, wrote the fan, identified as a Lee Hunt. Yes, it was actually his brother Mike chiming in with this comment. And it's disappointing to hear that other books will do the same thing. Still, it didn't stop me from enjoying the book and looking forward to the rest of From Ashes. Or yeah, you actually got an accurate looking Jean Grey Phoenix. Interesting. In turn, Brevoort asserted, I think it's fair. Oh, I think that's fairly. But in this era of early spoilers, that's what you're concerned about. I love that this approach gives us the opportunity to hold on to some plot points right up until the day the title ships. Jesus. So that detracted from some of the other and far more consequential, storylines of all time. Batman's Nightfall would have been totally ruined due to early spoilers. The death of Superman and his resurrection, it just would have been amplified had they had the technology to hide the final pages. Okay, responding to another fan who similarly asked, with an eye towards preservation, are you considering putting the page into a collection or reprint to the issues going forward? Yes, as I said above, the QR pages will be incorporated into an eventual collection. Yeah, exactly. And another opportunity, the same way that they have milked the market dry with variant covers, we're just going to go ahead and release all of our digital-only prints into another big omnibus, a big reprinting of our canceled storylines. I can't speak to the quality of this current run of X-Men, but I can speak to the current climate of comics and know that it's on its way out, especially if it's got to incorporate such crappy gimmicks like this. But yes, leave it up to Marvel. Leave it up to Disney to look a gift horse in the mouth in the form of Deadpool and Wolverine, absolutely destroying the box office, leading to a tiny resurrection in people taking superheroes and comics seriously and to completely squander any goodwill. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.